I want to come to the issue of the new management at KCCA. I don't want us to create a false impression that the problems of Kampala begin with the administration of KCCA.
No, it's not.
Because the bad roads in Kampala, you can as well change and bring Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg to run Kampala. For as long as you don't give them money, they will not fill potholes. It's that simple. So the previous management, the new management that is coming in, I think are irrelevant to the crisis in Kampala. They may fix small tactical issues here and there, but without government of Uganda making it a priority to fund the capital city of the country, Kampala will remain the garbage dump that it has become. You see, when NRM took over power in 1986, the GDP of Uganda was, I think, 2.1 billion. If you adjust its inflation to 2024 prices,
about $3.5 billion.
But yeah, because that government was fixing the exchange rate. So what you need to do to know the Uganda's actual exchange rate, GDP, you have to go to when they floated the shilling in 1992 and get what was Uganda's GDP. Then begin calculating the growth from 86 to 92, it will go back to about 2.1 billion. You adjust it to inflation, it comes to about 4.5 billion in 1986. In 2020, for prices. Uganda's GDP right now, okay, by October 2023, IMF was saying 58 billion. Uganda government, I think, says 56. I use IMF figures so that I can have one consistent reference point. So it's 58 billion. So the economy has grown 12 times, right? The population has grown barely 3 times because three and a half times. So this has been phenomenal success. What I cannot understand is how the growth, both in revenue per capita, income per capita, and overall size of the economy, is not reflected in the quality of the capital city, because 64% of Uganda's GDP and 75% of Uganda's total tax revenues are generated from Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono districts. Yep. So you need to, so in other words, the most productive citizens of Uganda, when I talk of productive, I mean productivity, output per unit, labor input, right? A peasant cultivating in their garden may produce a value of 10,000 shillings for a whole day of cultivation. And a person using their brain here in Kampala on a computer may generate maybe $1,000. This is 4 million worth in a day. So you need to make these highly productive people be able to move from home to office, and because they use creativity and intellectual talent as their primary driver, not manual labor, they need an environment that reduces their stress so they can think creatively and do better. If you're stuck in traffic in the morning 2 hours, in the evening 2 hours,
that's 4.
Then those are 4 hours, those are 4 man hours lost out of daily output. But you're not losing all of that. When a guy enters office when he's stressed, he cannot work to his optimum capacity. Maybe they work at 30% because they're stressed. They have fallen into potholes. Their car is filled with garbage. Then the shock absorbers are broken. Either they're in the garage, because if they're not in the garage to fix the shock absorbers, the mechanics will steal parts. I mean, this government has created a disaster for its economy. So it is just a self-defeating neglect of Kampala, because Kampala is the goose that lays the golden egg of growth and even revenue that finances the other priority needs. What I cannot understand is how the whole country, if Museveni is the problem, how can it be that permanent secretaries, MPs, all of us elites somehow have bent to the will or incompetence or disinterest, because it's not even incompetence, Museveni is not interested in Kampala, of one 8-year-old man. That is a problem one I wanted to point out. That the new management of KCCA, I want to tell you as you come in, I have so much sympathy for you, because they will throw you into a boxing ring with your hands tied behind, and you will not be able to box anybody there. You will just have a salary and that's it. 2, rationalization. Please don't think too much about rationalization, because if we were to go on the drawing board, we should ask ourselves, okay, you want to carry out rationalization in order to save money, to increase government performance. How much money is likely to be saved that was being spent on these bonds?
From the government, they say 1 trillion shillings.
Really? Find out. Find out. But please don't listen to government. It is likely they're not even going to save 200 billion. In any case, if government of Uganda is serious about containing runaway expenditure, this country, in the last 2 years, we have given Magola 736 billion. Am I wrong? 736 billion. 780 billion for
The pharmaceutical.
The pharmaceutical plant, which we are not sure it will come out, but even when we paid his loans, ask Equity Bank, he has not, he colluded with people in the Ministry of Finance. Instead of sending money to Equity Bank, he sent it to, I think, Eco Bank and put on a fixed deposit. He has not even paid the debts, which we gave him money to pay. We have given 560 billion to Atiak Sugar. Everybody will tell you, you can even spend 10% of that money and have a sugar factory, or maybe 20%. We invested 200 billion in Rocco when it had already gone bankrupt. We have got 1.3 trillion pumped into a hospital we don't need. We have just refurbished Malawi. Why not improve the quality there? Why go build Lubor? The Aga Khan is building another highly advanced hospital. Why? So it is not that the country doesn't have money to build roads. In Kampala, they're just throwing money all over the place. And they're not using it properly. So the second issue is rationalization is a struggle over power. That power had shifted from ministries to these agencies. These people are struggling to bring power back. And they're trying to say there is money to be saved. I'm willing to go sit down and calculate how much they were spending on each of these boards. Are they saying that they're going to fire all the workers?
No, actually government has a duty to
So if the government is going to absorb them, is it going to cut their salaries by 90% and make them paupers? You're going to get engineers and pay them nothing? Anyway, the rationalization is poorly thought out. I don't mind them taking these functions back to ministries if the ministries are well organized and people are properly incentivized to do good work. But it is not true that they will be saving money, because how much does a board, even if there are 100 agencies you are closing, how much does it cost to sustain a board in a month or in a year? It can't even be a billion, trust me, it can't even be a billion for a board. So if the maximum they can do is 100 billion, you get what I mean? Anyway, that 100 billion does not exist. The third point I wanted to raise is if Museveni seriously takes rationalization, why is he creating all these agencies at State House then? These new functions. And it's not even the money he's spending there. It is a duplication, triplication, even quintuplication of service. You have IGG, you have PPDA, you have Parliamentary Oversight Committees, you have Anti-Corruption Office, you have Crime Intelligence, you have criminal investigations, you have ISO, SOCMI. We have investigations of corruption everywhere. Why? Why can't you begin by stopping there? Then we can understand, why are you dividing every village into a district and creating a stadium-sized parliament and a cabinet that can fill Nambole? I mean, these are the things, and it's not even the money. People think that those things take a lot of money. It is simply that they create too much redundance and political patronage. That is not necessary. What this country needs is to have a government. By the way, I should tell you, I don't even think that we have enough employees of government. As a share of the population, in Uganda we have 1.8 government employees for every 100 citizens. Because our population is 47 million, the total public sector is about less than 500,000 people. So if you look at countries like Norway, they have 11 people for every 11 government employees for every 100,000. For every they have.
But what is their GDP? They have enough money.
Yeah, but of course, even the salaries may be they may be symmetric to their GDP. Here we pay salaries of 600,000. Maybe there they pay them salaries of 30 million. Do you see? But the point I'm trying to make is that we have a very lean state in Uganda. It is very thin on the ground. And that is even, so the problem with the size of the state is not there. What is there is that the state lacks a purpose to serve the common good. That the elected members of parliament in Uganda, you see the way the political system in Uganda is organized is for NRM to retain power, it trades private goods to private individuals in exchange for them delivering the bloc support of their ethnics. You are an Acholi, you are a Mtoro, you are Japadon, Samia. We put Timothy Nyangweso there, then Timothy, all the Basamia will vote the government. Meanwhile, Timothy Nyangweso, what he gets are private benefits, a cabinet, a big job, opportunities to profit through corruption. Then the Batoso say our son is in power, so they vote for him. You see, this is the way politics of Uganda is organized, democratic politics. The trade is in private goods in exchange for power. There is very little trade in public goods in order to consolidate power. And that is a function, something that Uganda needs to think about. The final one is on Umeme. I don't think that Umeme was badly contracted. One day you should call me, I'll come here on this show and give a thesis. The circumstances that led the provisions of the contract of Umeme to be like that. I'll give you an example. At the time government takes another, Umeme is privatized. The biggest defaulter to Umeme was the government of Uganda. Ministries, State House, Defense, Police, they were not paid. So in the agreement they put there that if government does not pay, You get the World Bank put up a fund. You remember there was an escrow account, you can draw money from there. You get. Is that a bad thing? It was to impose discipline on government. Now when that provision was removed, whenever government doesn't pay, remember does not transfer money to a government entity called Uganda Electricity Transmission Company. Government of Uganda needs to have the discipline. Pay your bills. I can go to each and every single sector. When Umeme came here, government of Uganda advertised for concession of our electricity distribution. You know what happened when they advertised it? 6 companies responded. They expressed interest. They came here and did due diligence. 6 of them left Uganda and said they're not interested. One company, a British government parastatal called CDC, wrote a letter, which I have on my phone here, to government of Uganda, saying we came, studied your thing, we won't invest and nobody will invest. Why? You have a line that it has been mariband for 30 years, you have not improved it. So technical losses are very high. It requires a huge investment for anybody to invest in your goddamn thing. People think Mwenda was an attractive thing. Nobody was interested in it 24 years ago. 2, your prices are very low and they have not changed for 10 years. In spite of inflation, domestic inflation, and foreign exchange depreciation. If you try to increase the price, people demonstrate on the streets. You have put up a regulator who sets the price. He's supposed to be independent. Government intervenes and tells the regulator to reduce the price. The market is dead. So anyway, government of Uganda went with a very weak negotiating hand because of its own mismanagement. People forget. So what Umeme Kem did, it reformed the energy distribution sector in Uganda. And within 10 years, when they went to launch an IPO, you know an IPO? Initial public offering to launch on the stock exchange, it was oversubscribed by 157%. Within 10 years of all international investors refusing to put their money into Umeme, now you had all international investors putting money into Umeme. The second public offering, when it came, of the 10 leading firms that were willing to buy into Umeme, these were equity funds. Their combined amount of money, funds under management, was $1.6 trillion. Uganda's GDP is 58 billion. So what you can hang me, I can tell you Umeme has played a fundamental role in making the electricity distribution market in Uganda highly attractive. So what is the problem of electricity pricing? Omar, let me explain to you where the mistake is. Umeme contributes only 30% to the electricity tariff. 30%. 65% is contributed by electricity generation. 5% by transmission. Why are we complaining about a guy who contributes 30%, not one who contributes 65%? But even that is an irrelevant point. It is about government policy. What is the government position on electricity tariff? Government of Uganda said electricity is a private good that should be sold at market prices in the market. It should be sold at prices where you can recover both your operation expenses and your capital expenditure and make a profit on it. That is the government policy of Uganda. So we proceeded to use market dynamics to price electricity. The result is electricity became very expensive. Across Africa, with the exception of Seychelles, all African countries subsidize electricity. They consider it a public good, the way you look at the road. Do you people pay to use the road? Do you, and a lot of other public infrastructure like health services, education services are provided largely for free. We don't pay teachers in the government schools. You get it? So government can make a decision and say, electricity is a public good. We need it for purposes A, B, C, D, F, G. So we will subsidize the price of electricity. The consumer does not need to pay for the total cost of capital investment, the total cost of financing cost, which is interest on loans, plus operating expenses. The consumer will pay for only operating expenses. That's a policy decision. It's not a Umeme decision.
Okay.
Umeme does not set electricity tariffs. Umeme, they are set by ERA, Electricity Regulatory Authority, and a policy that this is a commercial pricing. Now, let me come to the issue of government taking over Umeme through UEDCL. They were owning Umeme, these people, through UEB. Do you remember UEB? Mm-hmm. You would apply to get electricity in your house, pay a bribe, wait for 2 years, they will not bring a line there. They are not filling potholes in Kampala. First of all, I believe government should control things like this. But I'm dealing with a generic government. I want to deal with a specific government called a government of Uganda led by NRM and Yoweri Museveni. Potholes everywhere. So, tomorrow, they will not invest in poles to take electricity to your house. They will not invest in transformers to ensure that the electricity is stabilized. They will, when it comes to procurement of anything, they will be involved with IGG, PPDA, Parliament will make a speech. There will be so many quarrels, it will last 10 months, 2 years before they can do anything. Because guys, you need to understand the government we are facing. In 2015, that's exactly 10 years ago, I Andrew Mwenda, chaired an investor conference on the Jinja Kampala Expressway. When it finished that conference, commencement of construction was supposed to be 2019, completion 2024. Have they awarded the contract to build the Jinja Kampala Expressway? No. You get it? You are telling me this by the one who's going to be investing in electricity distribution in a timely manner? So let me continue, guys, because you see.
Just 1 minute. I think on matters electricity, we need a special day.
Yes.
Electricity.
Because I have a lot to say about that, because you see what has happened in the past. Many of these so-called investors came and took advantage of Uganda when we were at our lowest. I give you an example of Jagali. They came, they said, we cannot invest the risk for us. In fact, government of Uganda put its own money there, about $19 million, to start even building Bujagali. These guys came with very little money, but you need to see the contract.
Okay, I'm going to make sure. I'm going to make sure that
just like Omembe,
yes,
Bujagali took advantage of Uganda. We did an investigation. They owe us 1.2 trillion shillings. They have not paid a penny. We pay $5.5 million every month. We should be paying 3.
Okay.
So on matters energy, I've become a mini expert, and I would want to.
Honorable Ma, what we're going to do?
Let's not dwell much on this one.
We're not going to dwell on it, but in March around this, we'll come and discuss it.
Yeah.
Andrew, please complete your point.
So this just to complete my point. You see, what I want my grandson Omara, you know. He does not know that for us, Matoro, we came from Acholi there and Lango, especially Lango. That's where we came from. He doesn't know this Omar. I'm going to take him to my home. You'll find there my nephew Ochaki,
Let's complete.
Ochaya, Oli. But let me tell you this. Right now, if you are the German government, you are going to buy a bond. If you are a private investor, you are going to buy a German bond. You buy it at 0.4%. It is below the rate of inflation. Basically, you are paying the government of Germany to lend it money.
Yes.
If you want a 10-year bond from the government of Uganda, it is 17.9%.
Actually,
18%. 17.9 and 18, really, the difference is 0. Is too small. But let me ask you, Omar, why does Uganda borrow money from me at 18%, the government of Germany borrows at 0.4% below the rate of inflation? Because Uganda's risk profile is very high and it's capital scarce. So those contracts, we have to understand them. They were signed in a very specific context.
Okay.
That what has happened, what Umeme has done.
We need a day. We need a
yes.
day.
Okay.
Let me conclude my
please conclude.
What Umeme has done is to make the sector, Uganda, the distribution of electricity in Uganda, a very attractive proposition that you can have huge volumes of private investment willing to come into Uganda to invest.
That
and
one I
what
agree.
Uganda
How
should
much
do,
have they taken? That one I agree.
What Uganda should do
yes,
is to say, how do we sustain this reputation of this market? But they can't, because I can tell you, with their portfolios in Kampala, with all these things they are failing to run, I don't think they're going to run electricity distribution. I don't want to be a prophet of doom. I pray that I am wrong, because
we'll make you the GM of UDC.
I don't want.
Okay, allow me to bring in Professor.